Today we welcome to our service guest speaker John Wayne Walding. Walding was raised in Groesbeck, Texas, and spent 12 years in the United States Army. This included 7 years in the 3rd Special Forces Group in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. He has combat deployments to both Iraq and Afghanistan and served as a Special Forces Communications Sergeant and as a sniper instructor. In April of 2008, John lost his right leg to sniper fire during the Battle of Shock Valley. Despite the injury, he continued to fight alongside his brothers for 4 more hours. This earned him the Silver Star and Purple Heart, along with the Bronze Star, Combat Infantry Badge, Airborne Air Assault, and Special Forces tab. Post-injury, John attended and graduated from the Special Forces Sniper School, becoming the first amputee ever to become a Green Beret sniper. Other accomplishments include finishing in the top 10 in multiple Boston marathons, competing in the Army 10-miler, the Dallas Half Marathon, and the Bataan Death March, one of the hardest marathon routes in the world, while carrying a 45-pound sack. John started the Five Toes Custom, a company of unique custom firearms, and travels around the country speaking about leadership, excellence, and overcoming adversity using his motto, lean forward, fight hard. In light of all of these incredible accomplishments, John believes that his greatest accomplishment is marrying his wife Amy and having their 4 children. We are incredibly blessed to have John here today. Please join me in giving retired Sergeant First Class John Wayne Walding a warm Wisco welcome.
Thank you very much. Sit down. I hadn't been speaking yet. All right, so I'm going to walk around and move because I was taught very early in my military career it's hard to hit a moving target, right? That and it sucks for one-legged guys to stand. So I'm going to walk around. But first and foremost, thank y'all very much for having me. It means the absolute world to me that y'all invited me to come speak to you, and I don't take it lightly, and thank you. April 7th, 2008, I wake up in Bagram. I was in the hospital. I knew I was in the hospital because you know what one looks like, right? You can see the drop ceiling tiles with the fluorescent light shining down on you. You can smell the bleach, clean floors. You know what the linen feels like, right? Have you ever been inside a hospital, what the sheets that's been sanitized about 400 times before you? You know what that feels like, and I remember very distinctly what that felt like whenever I opened my eyes. I kept taking in all the surroundings and what I was doing. I knew why I was there. I knew what had happened 24 hours before then, but I was procrastinating. I didn't want to look down. Because I knew the next moment when I looked down, I'd find out if I had 1 leg or 2. And that'd be the most profound moment of my life, and I didn't want to know that answer. So before I tell you what happened when I found that answer out, let me tell you about 24 hours, April 6, 2008, when myself and about 15 other Green Berets went up against 250. I woke up about 4 a.m. in the morning, cold in Afghanistan. This is April. We're in Jalalabad. I went outside and it was raining. First thing that I thought, I'm like, well, I'm going to get dressed up for prom and nothing's going to happen because we weren't going to fight in the rain today. I went to our ready room. If you don't know what a ready room, it looks kind of like a football locker room. Y'all know what that looks like, right? It's nowhere near as nice, but you still have your little cubby hole. Every cool guy's got their cubby hole, and instead of a football helmet and pads, you have a ballistic helmet and body armor, right? And instead of football shoes, you got your combat boots, a little machine gun on this side, some grenades on this side, whatever you want to grab for that mission. What you would do, you would take that uniform or that body armor, you turn around, and there was this ready table. It was real long for the whole team to get ready, and you put all your stuff on that ready table, and you would outfit your kit for that mission, because every mission was different, right? If you were going to be inside of a Humvee and you were going to be going down a road for a few hours or a couple days, well, then you would load up on all the good stuff that you want, right? Whether it be extra Copenhagen, or I'm not saying you do that, or you would have, Rippets was a big thing. It was before Red Bull. It was a little short thing, Rippets. It was like cocaine in a bottle. It was awesome. Not that that is awesome. But when you're, come on now. Bear with me. I have to warn y'all, so my mentor for speaking engagement was David Faraday. Everybody know who that guy is? I met Faraday whenever I was in the hospital, and I was just telling them earlier, the first time I ever heard Faraday speak was at Wake Forest basketball team, which was about 98% black people, and the first thing that Faraday did was tell a black joke. It was awesome. You got to know Faraday. You can laugh at it. Come on now, we're all Americans. And if you knew Faraday, he's from Ireland, but he's the most American person you'll ever meet, right? He don't care what your color is. He loves that you love this country. And so anyway, that's where I get my mentorship, so you bear with me. I won't say any cuss words. They're adults. But long story long, now you turn around, you get that, you outfit your kit for what mission, you get it on, and we get into our non-tactical vehicles. In Afghanistan, it's like a Toyota Hilux or a 4Runner, if you know what that looks like, right? With a Land Cruiser or something. We would get into there, roll out. It's pretty much like the movies, right? You have 4 of those vehicles pulling into an airfield. It's dark, it's early, see the headlights coming, and when we stop right next to the helicopters a couple hundred yards away before you get onto that airfield, and the doors open, we have a very calming Metallica playing, because that's what you listen to before you go out there, and you get your accountability, right? Accountability is a big thing in the Army. You know, whenever they say I lost my leg, I say I didn't lose it. I had accountability, it just wasn't working anymore, right? So you get your accountability, and then whenever we had that, that's when our commandos, our host nation force that we're fighting with, which, by the way, before I even go any further, does anybody even know what a Green Beret is? Cody, you don't count. No, we're not like a Navy SEAL, right? We don't have a publicist and good hair. Come on. You can laugh at Navy SEALs. I do. It's all right. I was the lead instructor for Chris Kyle's company. If you don't know who Chris Kyle was, he was a Navy SEAL who was in the movie, or the movie American Sniper was about, that was murdered a few years ago. And he was one of my closest friends and a good friend. And long story short, we loved each other, and we had no problem poking fun at each other. So if you hear me poke fun at SEALs, because I've done speaking gigs where you got some SEAL lovers like, he said something about SEALs. Oh, my gosh, he's a heathen. No, we all bleed. We're bleed red, white, and blue, right? Amen? Okay, so the difference between, or what is a differentiator for U.S. Army Green Berets, first and foremost, we're the only special forces. Did you know that? When JFK gave us the Green Beret in the 60s, it was to the United States Army Special Forces. The Special Operations is what everybody's thinking about when you say the term Special Forces, right? That's the Navy SEALs, the Army Rangers, Green Berets, Marine Recon, Air Force. Yes, Air Force has got Special Forces. Where's Air Force got, right? Combat Controllers and Pararescue, they're great guys. Believe it or not, 60% of all missions done out of Special Operations are done by Green Berets. We go the most, die the most, get shot the most. Green Beret Foundation's got 2 million. Navy SEAL Foundation's got 22. Why? We don't write books. We don't do movies. We fight the war. Our motto is called Quiet Professional. And what we are, there's my long wave. You see how I got propaganda? Where are me guys at? There's my propaganda. The reason why I'll tell you all that is that our motto is Quiet Professional. Our job is to teach them to die for their country rather than us doing it. Instead of sending 100 Americans into this village to go get a bad guy, why don't we send 15 Green Berets to train 1,000 and let them fight? How about that? That's a pretty awesome mission, right? We're the absolute pinnacle of the unconventional warfighter. Yeah, we do the cool guy jumping out of airplanes, blowing stuff up, all the stuff you see in the movies that Navy SEALs are usually doing. But we can do that. Anyway, so that's what a Green Beret does. Back to the host nation force that are meeting with us, the Afghani commandos. They show up to us. Now, the Afghani commandos are the special forces for Afghanistan. This was in 2008. Remember this. You couldn't just raise your hand, which, again, to get back on my propaganda, you can't just say, I want to be a Green Beret and go to Green Beret school. Did you know that? You go to a selection process. You say, hey, I think I got what it takes. You go to 25-day selection process. It's 25 days. Again, SEALs got Hell Week. We got Hell Month. It's not a competition, but if it was. You got 25 days. If you're still standing at the end of 25 days, they choose who gets to go to Green Beret school. They choose for the next 2 years who's going to try to see what they got, what it takes. And it will put it in perspective. There are about 400 men that started my selection process in November of 2004. Less than 100 even finished. Out of those less than 100 even finished, only half of us got selected to start Green Beret school. So whenever we donned that Green Beret, we didn't do it because we liked it. We did it because we loved it. And that's what we trained with the commandos. We did the same thing with them. Whenever we stood up to commandos, we wanted to make sure we got the best of the best of the Afghani fighting forces. Sent them through a selection, had a schoolhouse. They were some absolutely great great fighters. We had some celebrities, commandos on our team. We had Muhammad Ali. That guy was awesome. We had a little Joe Pesci, just like Joe Pesci with a beard, a little brown guy about that tall. Every time we go to formation, I'd look, I would say, Joe Pesci. He'd give me a thumbs up. He'd say, John Wayne. There's nothing funnier than a little Afghani guy saying, John Wayne. It was pretty awesome. Which, if you hadn't noticed now, right, my name's John Wayne Walding. I was born on the 4th of July, and I'm a Green Beret from Groesbeck, Texas. I didn't have much to look up to, right? Woo, I've done some push-ups for that guy. So they meet up with us, and we start getting on to our CH-47s. If you don't know what a CH-47 is, it's basically a bus with 2 rotors, one on the front, one on the back. They got a tailgate that lowers in the rear. You walk up it, and that's where you sit, that's where you sit until it takes off. Since it was raining earlier, we didn't know if we were going to get the green light to go, right? So we get into these helicopters, and it was the most anxious moment of all missions, right? Because you don't know if you're going to go. The guy that we knew we were going to get, he was a bad guy. We wanted to go do our job, and we didn't know. We already tried going twice, but for some reason, either he left the objective or weather came in, and this was getting toward the end of our deployment, so we wanted to get this guy, and it was just raining. We were in there. It was cold. The CH-47 is rocking. If you don't know, they like to crash. They really don't like to fly. If you've ever been in a helicopter, right? Planes kind of want to fly. Helicopters, they either want to go up or down. That's it. And so you're inside that helicopter, and you're rocking. You got the headset on. You're waiting for those 3 words every cool guy likes to hear, which is execute, execute, execute. Well, we got the go-ahead, and we started to take off, wheels up. That's when I say we were living. You don't know what the term living is. When those wheels left that ground, I did not know if I was alive when they'd land. Think about that. I did not know when those wheels would touch ground, I'd be breathing. Now that's living. That's when you look to your brother, your left and right, and you say good morning, you mean it. That's when you see that sunrise coming up, you thank God for that absolute magical sunrise, because it may be the last one. When you see that tree even swaying in the wind, that's beautiful, because you may not ever see that again. You look and you absolutely relish the small thing. It's living. Right now, we're not living. It's cold as heck. I'm from Texas, by the way. What's up with this 20-degree weather? Woo, man. But we got AC, we got a heater on, right? We got sunshine and butterflies outside. Nobody's shooting at us. Right? That's an easy. My wife hates that term, by the way. Every time we're either late for school or something, I'm like, easy, baby, we're not getting shot at. She's like, that doesn't work anymore. Like, what? I mean, that's stress. This isn't stress. Come on now. So what? They may get a little detention slip. I'll go with them. Where was I? Anyway, I was living. We had about 30 minutes of living until we get to the objective. Now, where we were going, it was 10,000 feet above sea level. If you don't know this, there's not a Home Depot, there's not a Lowe's, there's none of that in Afghanistan, right? So when bad guys go to find a village or go build a sanctuary, they just build it out of the ground, out of the rock that God gives them. So there's a bunch of mud huts that are just literally built out of the side of the mountain. And that's where we were going. It was Nuristan province, which is just north of the Pakistani border. It was about 30 minutes. We were landing in between two mountain ranges into a wadi. I don't know why, but when you change continents, a valley, it's called a wadi. So if you hear me say the name wadi, that's what I'm talking about, is a valley. So we were landing in this wadi floor. We see the green light, right? Tailgate's falling. We all want to go out, do our get our gun on and do what we're supposed to do. When we go to run out, the helicopter's not even on the ground. So what do? We have to jump out of it 10 to 15 feet with 60 pounds of kit off their back. What did Mike Tyson so eloquently say? Everybody's got a plan to get punched in the mouth. That's how we started this fight, was getting a punch in the mouth by jumping 15 feet, which is about jumping off the top of this with 60 pounds of kit. I thought we were going to lose 15 to 20% of our element for twisted knees, sprained ankles, so on and so forth, right? Because you're falling. And fortunately, not everybody was good. We got our accountability. Big thing, you know, Staff Sergeant, right? We got our accountability, and we started moving to our objective. To give you an idea of what that looks like, we don't just all come up and, go to the objective once. There's movement order. So to let you know what that looks like, we had Assault Team 1, which I was the team leader of Assault Team 1, which consisted of myself, another Green Beret, an interpreter, and a couple about 8 Afghani commandos. Our job was to be the first ones into the village, lock down a building. That way, no matter what happens, we can go into that house, lock it down, and be secure for if we ever need reinforcement, right? A QRF force to come get us. That was my job, Assault Team 1. Right behind us was Assault Team 2. Correction was command and control element, right? That was where your team leader was, your intel officer, your lead interpreter, and you had some radio operator was there, the Air Force combat controller was there, and that was their job, was to maintain, herd all the cats. So that was command and control. Behind them was Assault Team 2. So we were in a file literally climbing this mountain. When I say we were climbing this mountain, we were going up goat trails. Google Afghanistan mountains, and you'll see what I'm talking about. There's no ADA compliant guardrail stairs, right? There's no escalator. You are going up goat pass using your buddy's knees, shoulders, kit to climb to the next terrace and go up, so on and so forth. Well, I get about 40 meters. Wait, we're in America now. 40 yards. I don't know, why does the Army teach in meters? Everybody else does yards. Well, I was about 40 yards from myself to the first building into that objective, and that's when we got opened up on. I say we got opened up on with an avalanche of gunfire, and I don't say that to sound cool, to beat my chest, to say I'm cooler than Navy SEALs, even though we are. That's the reality that we were living at the moment. And to put it in perspective and give you examples of why that was an avalanche of gunfire, within the first 5 minutes, our lead interpreter, CK, was shot in the throat, died on impact. Which, by the way, you think an American's worth a lot of money in Afghanistan? What about an Afghani that speaks English and helps Americans? They're worth a lot of money in Afghanistan. They are absolutely pivotal to our success there and absolutely great people. If you ever meet one, please say thank you to them because they put it all on the line. CK's entire family was murdered by the Taliban. That's why he was fighting with us. They put it all on the line. We get to come home to relative safety back in America. They have got to stay in the battlefield 365 days a year. They are 100% great people. CK died within the first 5 minutes. Dylan Barrett got shot in the hip. Initial assessment of him was 20 minutes to live. Who here has ever climbed a mountain? Who's there has ever watched a movie about climbing a mountain? There we go. Within 20 minutes, do you think that you're going to get off the mountain, call a medevac bird, the medevac bird gets there, you suppress the enemy so it can land, you get the guy on the bird, and he gets help 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later? Well, so what do you think? Dylan's dead. This is within 10 minutes. Avalanche of gunfire. We kept fighting. We kept fighting. They were everywhere. And within the next 5 minutes, I heard Luis Morales. Luis Morales was a very near and dear friend of mine. He gets shot in the leg. Every single day, I think about the words that go over that radio into my ear. John, come get me, brother. What do you think? You think Luis was okay? First of all, you don't ever say, John, come get me, brother, over the radio. You have proper radio etiquette. You say, Delta 1, this is Delta 2. Echo 3, this is Echo 4. Team Awesome Sauce, this is Team Awesome More Than You. Whatever your call sign is, that's what you use, right? You don't look into your radio or hear your brother say, John, come get me, brother. So within 15 minutes, I already had a Terp dead. Dylan's going to die. Luis is so bad, he's dying. I kept fighting. At that point, we realized with that many injured, there's no way we're going up this mountain, right? So with every one person shot, there's 2 people that need to help. So there's 6 guys, only 10 of us on the side of the mountain. So the majority of us are helping the shot, injured, critically, Green Berets. So I come back down from my position to where the command and control element was and pretty much initiated Operation Human Shield. That was my job, mine and my brother's job. We got as many commandos as we could away, and I was to catch the bullets so the medic can do his job. And we did a dang good job of doing it. We did it for about 2 more hours, keeping their head down, putting the fight to them. Which, by the way, has anybody ever seen the movie 12 Strong? Right? Hands up. If you hadn't, you're a communist. Come on. It's okay. 12 Strong is the first Green Beret movie. You might want to go watch it. It shows a very good depiction of the relationship that Green Berets have with the fighting force, how we were the first Americans into Afghanistan after 9/11, and what we did to help get rid of the Taliban. And the real quick story to that movie, it shows just how archaic war is. War is an archaic form. You're not breeding pandas. There's no rocket science to win in war. Yes, you can have rocket science behind you to help, but the actual art of war is very old, and it shows just how old it is. Case in point, we own the sky, right? We have all the air, we have all the planes, the bombs, and everything that we need to win a war. When we went into Afghanistan, they wanted us to drop a bomb. Well, you still have to have the knucklehead, the knuckle dragger, on the ground to say, drop the bomb specifically here, right? Well, the Afghanis didn't realize that at the beginning of the movie. If you watch it, in first bomb, it misses. Shows just how archaic war is. You got to have the guys there. Well, what we were doing on the side of that mountain is we were calling in airstrikes. Airstrikes is kind of hard to know when you're fighting 40 yards from the bad guys. You have to know exactly where these guys are. So you know what we did? Everybody know what a 203 grenade launcher is? It's a grenade launcher. It says so in the name. Come on, guys. So we get the 203, where we were receiving fire from, we would just launch a grenade in there. That mud hut would start to smoke a little bit, right? We'd radio up, hey, you see the smoke? Make it bigger. So that's whenever the fast movers would come in and do a gun run, whatever it is, make the small smoke big smoke. Pretty simple, right? Well, when you're getting shot at, it's pretty hard. We come back down from my location, and that's what we were doing, Operation Human Shield, doing that, and never for the life of me will forget this moment. I was going from one position to the next, and I took a step forward, and I felt pain. I fell forward, and I rolled over like this, and I looked, and my leg was just hanging at a 45-degree angle by an inch of flesh. That was the most debilitating pain that I've ever felt in my life. I want every one of you to know that at that moment, I didn't grab my Green Beret and rub it and everything was good. I didn't do the movie. I didn't tell my sergeant I didn't have time to bleed. I screamed. I cried. I yelled. It hurt. It was the most debilitating pain that I was freaking out at the sight of my leg hanging off. I'm sorry I'm getting graphic, but I want you to know that's what I was in at this moment. The second thing I heard was, Spielberg got it right. Looked just like the movies. You know where they chop a guy's head off and it just goes straight blood? I was like, I'll be dang. They got it right. I don't know if it was just an accident or what. I mean, maybe they just saw something, but I'm just a redneck from Groesbeck. I think real small. I'm like, I'll be dang, looky there. You know. At that point, I'll teach y'all, everybody want to go to medical school? Right here. Air goes in and out, blood goes round and round. That's all you need to know. Class dismissed. Go do medical. So whenever I was looking down, blood was not going round and round. Blood was going on the ground. So I grabbed my tourniquet, and I started to put my tourniquet on, and it was bloody. I just couldn't do it, and I had my buddy Dave. We brought it all the way up, and I started turning. If you don't know what it is, what a tourniquet is, it's a piece of nylon with a stick that when you twist it, it gets tighter, right? Well, that's what we were doing, and fortunately, my leg was chopped off so much that where I could see the blood just go out a little less, and then stop. That hurt, by the way. I think the tourniquet hurt worse than the bullet. And so at that point, that's when I continued to fight. But every time that I would move, my leg would either catch on a rock or it would fall off something. It would just re-injure to where it felt like it happened again. So the only thing that I could think of is what I did. So I just grabbed my leg on the objective, I folded it in my crotch, and I just tied it to my thigh. Which, by the way, the first time I was ever interviewed on TV, I said crotch, and my wife was like, really, John? Crotch, national TV? And I was like, well, I know what else is there, and I know I can't say that word. So I figured that's what it is. And to make it even worse, they told our story on the congressional floor afterwards, and they sent us this beautiful gold-plated, in Congress on this day, Battle Shock Valley, awesome. And it had the only quote after all, as you can tell, I can talk a lot, right? After all the stuff that I said, they wanted to quote, I put my boot in my crotch. So that's hanging on the wall now forever. Well, you can't write this. Tell them, Cuddy. So anyway, where was I? Crotch. Okay, so I tied in there, and that's whenever I kept fighting. About 10 minutes later, I see my team sergeant get shot. He was from me to you. Right in the breastplate, I was sitting on my butt, and I see him drop to the floor. For all you officers out there, team sergeants lead the way, right? They're the ones that whenever you want to get out of someplace, you look at the team sergeant. Scott Ford, Chuck Norris wore Scott Ford underwear. That's how cool Chuck Norris was. For our younger ones, Chuck Norris is a cool guy, all right? I'll be a current guy. Dwayne Johnson wears Scott Ford underwear. He'd been to all the cool guy school, Green Beret for decades. Absolutely great warfighter. I knew no matter what we got into, Scott could get us out of there. He's Scott. He's Scotro. He's a man. And I see him drop right in front of me, and that's the first time I thought we were going to die. I felt it. I knew it because Scott was gone. I'm shot. Dylan's shot. Luis is shot. CK's dead. Now Scott's shot. Fortunately, his breastplate worked. He got up, and he continued to fight. Within 2 minutes, I never will forget the look of his arm just filleting off the back because his left hand his shoulder had been shot, and his tricep just peeled off the back. Blood was going everywhere, and that's whenever it got real. That's whenever, fortunately for us, that the powers that be realized that it got real. And that's when they opened up every air asset in theater pretty much to our location. Air asset is the helicopters, the airplanes, all that cool guy stuff that you see on the movies. They started coming in, and they started dropping ordnance. What an ordnance is, it's a bomb. Not just a 100-pound bomb, 200-pound bombs. Not 200-pound bombs, but 500-pound bombs. Not only 500-pound bombs, but 1,000 and 2,000-pound JDAMs were being dropped right on top of us. Let me put it into perspective. Where's my video gamers at? Come on, where's all the video? Here we go, this guy. Danger close, right? You've heard danger close? You know what that means? Me neither, but I'm going to tell you. Danger close. When you make a bomb, you have to publish the closest proximity to the detonation of that bomb that you can be, right? That's the safest that you can be. If you are inside that, that's danger close. What do you think danger close is for a 2,000-pound bomb? It's over 10 football fields or a major terrain feature. They were dropping us 100 yards on top of our head. You ever seen the movie 300 when they say the arrow black out the sun? That's exactly what it was like. It would get dark whenever they would drop that bomb. And that was the only time that they would ever really stop shooting. That was one of the most significant things that we took from this battle. It wasn't that they all started shooting at once. It wasn't that it was a violence of action at the beginning. It was that sustained rate of fire. I remember thinking, how many bullets they got? Think about hours and hours. They're still relentlessly. When they drop a bomb, a 2,000-pound bomb, apparently that's whenever they would shake out the cobwebs and say, all right, everybody, whoa, settle down. Whoa, everybody here? You good? That's when we would get off the mountain. Now, before I start talking about getting off the mountain, I got two stories because I love medics. Medics save lives, and I'll tell you more about the medic. You'll hear more about him later. I never to this day will remember or forget. Anybody know what a morphine injector is? If you ever had, if you've been in the military, they give you these little sticks and you jab it in there, a needle comes out, it gives you some morphine, right? Well, I'm literally kicking my own butt at the moment, right? I need some morphine. I kind of want that. I'm hurting a little bit. But I also live by the creed that I'm dumb, so I know I'm dumb. So I might want to ask a question. It almost makes me smart, right? I know I'll do some dumb stuff, so I'm going to ask somebody the right way to do things. Y'all should learn that, by the way. You don't know everything. So I asked my medic, hey, Ron, what side do I put this morphine injector? There's two sides. It was like red and purple. You would think I would have noticed the red. But anyway, I asked him, what side? He's like, purple. Good, got it. And I put it in my thumb, or my thigh. The needle went to my thumb. So here I am, throwing my morphine injector at my medic, telling him he sucks at life. And I'm like, you had one job, Ron, one job. And you messed it up, And I was like, I told him I was going to beat him with my leg when I saw him. And just, true story. And just like we're laughing right now on the side of a mountain, April 6, 2008, at 10,000 feet above sea level, Green Berets laughing on the side of the mountain because I told Ron he sucked at life. I'm like, damn it, Ron, you had one job. Since I'm on Ron, I'll tell you the last thing. So I never will forget about Ron. Great guy, by the way. There are other people shot. He kind of had his, hands full at the moment, but I felt special. You know what I mean? I wanted to feel. So after about 30, 45 minutes, I realized I was the only person keeping me alive, and I'm not qualified for that. Again, I know me. He had his hands full, but I never will forget looking over at Ron, which was very about me to you. We were not very far apart because we were on the side of a mountain, and I had my gun, and I looked over at Ron. I said, "Ron, come check me out, man. Airway, blood, circulation, do all that medic crap you're supposed to know everything about." To this day, I will never forget his little peanut head looking over Dylan, give me a thumbs up and said, "You're good." "No, I'm not good, Ron." Like, I know me good. This is not good, Ron. You're good. Like, woo, I was hot. But if I'm well enough to cuss my medic and tell him he sucks at life, obviously he knows I'm not dying, so he did know what he was doing, but I wanted to feel special at the moment. Cuddy, they didn't make me feel special. You know me. Come on now. Anyway, we're getting off the mountain. 2,000-pounders are dropping. Age 64s are doing gun runs. Every time they would drop a bomb, we would fall off the backside because we were obviously going up the easy side at this point. We had 4 critically injured guys, and how we got off the backside, I would scoot on my butt to the ledge, roll over, fall 10, 15, 20 feet, flop, scoot on my butt, fall, wash, rinse, repeat. Let me tell you something. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I know what it feels like to die. Think about that. I knew what it felt like for that life to go away from me, and that it was the hardest thing in my life to just push forward because I was tired. It was about 5 hours. I've been shot for 3 of that. Kicking my own butt, right? And it was hard. And whenever I got off the ground, we finally called in a medevac bird. Medevac bird comes in. Only problem is he came in the middle of the wadi. We're at the base of this mountain. We had to go out in the middle of this wadi where it's a river that was going through there. I had to get drugged through that was about 25 degrees. And I never will forget thinking, well, great, survived a freaking gunshot. Now I'm going to die of hypothermia. Appreciate that. Come on, baby Jesus, where are you? Help me out now. Little 6 pound, 7 ounce door. But we get out to the middle of the wadi, the medevac bird. It was the best scene that I've ever seen in my life, right? You're helpless. You're on the stretcher. You can't walk. You're hurting. And you see your chariot coming down. It's coming down. It's getting closer. Scott's got his arm wrapped up, and he goes to touch it, and then it flies away. We actually have audio where the pilot says, I'm hit, I'm going south. He got shot. Aircraft got shot. He had to go away. So here we are in the middle of this wadi getting pelted with rounds again, and we had to go back to the only cover that we had, which was that side of the mountain. Took another bath. That was awesome. Appreciate that. The next bird that came in, it wasn't even a medevac bird. It was just a U-860 called an ARF, Air Reaction Force. A couple Green Berets. Sergeant Major was on there. They kind of like, everybody seen the movie Black Hawk Down? Y'all know Gordon and Sugart, the 2 Delta Force guys that got the Medal of Honor? It was just like that scenario. They're on a U-860. Hey, we want to go in. Roger that. Go in there. That's what happened. When they offloaded and we were coming onto that plane, I can't describe to you what it felt like to hear the rounds impacting on this helicopter. I can't tell you what it was like to see the rotors scraping the side and this chaos everywhere. And that pilot, his head was like an oak tree. Wasn't moving. I'm staying here till I get my boys off. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. And we got off, and we start to fly away, and I was like, whoo! All right, I survived it. Here we go. Within 5 minutes, you started hearing beep, 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 beep. We had to do a crash landing because all of the damage that aircraft took getting us out of there, it couldn't even make it the flight back to Jalalabad. So I was like, great, survived a firefight, survived hypothermia, now I'm going to die in a helicopter crash. Goodness gracious, come on now. We got it, came back, and that's whenever I went to the hospital. And died a few times, but I came back. That was my joke to my buddies. I was like, I just want to see if you cry. I just want to see if you cry, you little sensitive guy. You love me. You say you don't, but you do. But I came back, and that's when I wake up like I started this April 7th in Bagram looking at that ceiling tiles. Before I get to that, I'll tell you, as you can tell, Green Berets don't like to talk about us. so I always forget the awards. Ron received the Congressional Medal of Honor for his day, for his actions that day. There were 9 Silver Stars that were awarded that day. There were 8 Purple Hearts that were awarded that day. There were 0 American killed that day. Amen. How awesome of a fighting force can 15 Americans go up against 250 and win? And some Air Force. A lot of Air Force. That is amazing. Well, that was the most decorated battle since Vietnam. We were the most decorated team since Vietnam. And Ron, actually, if you Google him right now, he just got awarded the Medal of Honor about 3 weeks ago. And so look him up. He's a great. I like to poke at him, but he was the only medic that day and kept us all alive. So I'm in the hospital and I look down, and I started to cry because I knew everything that I did to get where I am was gone. I knew everything that I wanted to be is gone. I realized the meaning of this word, can't. I can't walk. I can't stand. I can't walk. I don't like that word. When people say there's no such thing as can't, bullcrap. I cannot walk. Not without the aid of a prosthetic device. That's the most debilitating feeling, the most humiliating feeling I've ever had in my life is looking down and saying, what am I going to do? How am I going to support? I had a wife and 2 kids, which I have 4 kids now, so 2 more infidels. So suck that, Taliban. Woo! But I'm looking down, and I start to cry, and I'm thinking about how am I going to provide for my family? What am I going to do? So many what ifs and what ifs and what ifs. And let me tell you, there are 3 reasons that helped me get over that word, can't. Because as a Green Beret, I was a 27-year-old Green Beret. I can. If I wanted to do anything, I knew I could put my mind to it and do it. I knew that. I believed in me. I'm not saying I'm the greatest, but I know that I will work my butt off to get something I put my mind to. I knew that I can. Now I can't. There's 3 things that helped me get over it. First and foremost is absolutely 100% God. You can clap for that. Amen. You can clap for that. God. There is no tactical handbook that says 15 men go up against 250 and fight, outnumbered, outgunned, out-terrained for 6.5 hours and win. Doesn't exist. There's no medical handbook that says somebody gets his leg chopped off and is still alive 4.5 hours with no medical care. God says so. I had the why me's. Why me, God? Why did this happen to me? Who's ever said, why me? Come on now, we can be honest. Why me? I don't beat my wife. I pay my bills. Why me, God? I'm a good guy. It's not my job to wonder why me. It's my job to do the best that I can with the path that He's given me. Just the fact that I'm alive proves that I'm on His train. He's not on mine. Just the fact that we survived that day proves that God is the reason why we are here today. And that galvanizing trust, that faith in that this is His plan, it's not my job to wonder why me. So the why me's went away. You can clap for that too, lady. Amen. Come on, guys. I know it's early. It's a Monday. The second thing to help me get over my injury, my family. I never will forget being in Bethesda, Maryland, in my apartment. Since I was in special operations, they pay for a 2-bedroom apartment for my family. My wife and daughter, they went to the grocery store, and it was just my son and I. And I had my leg off and was in the wheelchair, which, by the way, we're not true friends until we have leg off time together. That's, Mike, you know the leg off time. I do a great puppet with my stump. I can just put a horse face on and say, you know. Or I can do the cobra. I mean, kids love it. If you need me to come for a birthday party, I'll do it leg off. Come on. But I was with my son, leg off, and I was in my wheelchair. He was on the coffee table, standing up, because I'm a good parent. He's learned how to be airborne, right? Jump off, feet, knees. Well, he goes to fall. What does every father do? You go to catch your son, right? So I step out of that wheelchair and I don't have a leg on. And I land on my bloody stump and I'm crying. And my son's crying because he just fell. True story. I wasn't crying because I let my son fall. He deserved it. Should have been on the coffee table. I was crying because of why. I let him fall because I was too doped up to catch him. I was too numb to have the reaction time to see that happen and then stop it. I'm not here to bash the military and the VA because by all means, if you need help, get it. Go get what you need. But they have no problem prescribing you medicine, and they absolutely did that with me. Who's here ever heard of a Percocet? Why are these young ones? What have y'all been through? What's up, Wisconsin? Woo! Y'all know how to party. Who's here actually knows what is inside of a Percocet? Who here actually knows the medicine? You're the first guy to ever raise his hand. You probably don't even know what it is. Nobody ever reads the pill bottle. Life lesson, read the pill bottle. Know what is going inside your body. I'll tell you what's inside a Percocet. I'll give you the answer to the test. 325 milligrams of acetaminophen, which all that is Tylenol, and 5 milligrams of Oxycontin. That's the opioid. Opioid. I can't say that word. Opioid. Opioid. I think of Opie off Little Rascals, right? 5 milligrams of Oxycontin. That's the good stuff. Right? Guess what they were prescribing me? 80 milligrams of straight oxy 3 times a day. Outside of the hospital, not inside. This is going to Outback Steakhouse. This is going to the mall. This is going around everybody. On top of 14 other concoctions, anti-psych meds, anti-inflammatory meds, anti-anti meds. It was so many things, and that was one of them. I was a zombie. And I never, for the life of me, will ever forget my son falling, and I say to myself, I will never let him fall again because I'm doped up. And that's when I quit. I quit it all. Because I realized, hey, absolutely, thank you. You don't become a Green Beret because you don't have discipline. You don't become a Green Beret because you don't have self-will and control over your mind and body. That stuff was taking over my life. I never will forget looking at my watch saying, well, I took this at 7:58, so I can take the next one at 9:58. Or, it says on the bottle, take no more than 3, so I have 3 right now and have a party. Who's seen that movie? No hands. And when I saw that, that's when I knew I had to stop. And after getting that clear head and getting off that, that's whenever I overcome this injury. And the last thing that I'll tell you that helped me get over this injury, and I mean this one 100% sincerity, is you. Americans. Never underestimate the magnitude of what the 2 words, thank you, mean to a veteran. Amen. 2 simple words, thank you. If you don't believe me, ask a Vietnam guy. Ask a Vietnam guy what it's like to go down. First of all, I chose to go to war. I wanted to go to war. They didn't. They were drafted, manned up, did their job, went down range, did great things for their country. Get back, what happened? They get spit on. They get called baby killer. I got friends that said they didn't even want to leave the freaking airport in their uniform because they get treated like a second-rate citizen. This happened in America, y'all. Learn your history. If somebody would spit on me because of my service to this country, I can't tell you what I would try to do. I can't tell you the rage that would go over me. I can't tell you the absolute sadness that would come over me. But let me tell you what I get now. I get a bear hug of thank you from veterans or from the citizens. I got a race named after me. Who knew? John Wayne had a race named after me. There are so many. I just went on an absolute epic hunt of my life. Why? Because I served this country. And it was that mental validation that every person, I don't care if it's military or a teacher or bus driver, whatever you do, everybody has got to have that question answered, right? The inevitable question, is this worth it? Is all of this worth it? All of this pain, all of this struggle? Well, the thank you that I get from the Americans makes it worth it. That's why when you say thank you to me, I don't say you're welcome. I say you're worth it. Because of you or why now I'm not just a citizen, but I'm a successful citizen. Started a company, sold it, got 2 more on the way. May even start a 3rd, who knows? That's why I was the first amputee to graduate Green Beret Sniper School. That's why I ran the Dallas Half Marathon, did all this other great stuff, because the validation from you. And I'll leave you with 3 things. I never will forget whenever I started speaking, somebody said, well, what do you want them to get from hearing you speak? I was like, oh man, that's a good question. I don't know. I just black out, and when I wake up, everybody's clapping. That's not good enough. So here are the 3 things that I want you to take away from hearing me speak. The first thing, stop being good and start being great. Let that sink in, everyone. Stop being good and start being great. Be great. And for every one of you, that means something different. For every one of you, that means something that's totally opposite of the next. It may be starting a relationship. It may be quitting a relationship. It may be getting a closer relationship. An exercise, a hobby, something that you must do. You need to have that brutal honesty. Brutal. Don't be honest with yourself. Be brutal honest. I am not okay. I was not okay when I was on drugs. I was not. But I knew that. I had that honesty to say, John, you suck. Get better. Let me tell you what made me great was drinking. I always say I wasn't excessive, I was consistent. That was my validation, right? Never bought more than a 6-pack. Never had more than a bottle at the house. When I drank, it was only a couple beers. But there are 30 names that are embroidered on the center console of my truck of Green Berets and Navy SEALs that are dead. Not deployed, not injured, dead. Never coming home, never coming back, never saying hi to their family, never kissing their wife again. And I didn't know how to deal with it. They teach you how to deal death, but not deal with it, right? I can come into a room, look at you in the white in the eyes, pull the trigger, and sleep at night. I can't get that phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning and say Ryan Savard's dead, Willie's Lover's dead, Chris Kyle's dead, Aaron Bellagio's dead. Hardest thing I ever done in my life, not becoming a Green Beret. It's being stateside, seeing that private jet land, Aaron Bellagio's bodies coming off that plane with the American flag draped over it, and his wife and 2-month baby who he had never even met yet is right there. What do you say? I'm sorry? What do you say? You know what I did? I drank. Right? Here's the fallen. Toast to them. That's what they do in the movies. Well, after my buddy Chris Kyle was murdered, I did exactly that. He liked Jack Daniels, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to toast to Chris. He loved Jack. And I woke up the next morning, and I had this absolute fundamentally change in my life. I said, you know what? Enough. Enough. If his lives matter that much to me, I got to do this crap. By God, I owe it to them to live well. Live well. And it wasn't about drinking at that time. It was about being great. It was looking at my life and saying, how do I honor all of them? How do I do it? Help me, Jesus. How do I do it? And I started looking with that brutal honesty. I said, you know what? I've never been the guy at a social event that says, I'm not going to drink tonight, guys. Nah, I'm not going to drink. I was the guy that was always like, woo, let's go, y'all. And so I quit. And it was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. Who's ever seen Talladega Nights? Ricky Bobby, I don't know what to do with my hands. It's funny, but it's serious. I didn't know what to do with my hands. Right? It was my red-blooded American, barrel-chested, freedom-fighting right to go home and have a beer. Well, that's what I did. When I came home, I didn't know what to do. Now, with that clear head, with that sober mind, you know what I do? I go home, I look at my kids, and I say, how were your day? I don't go home and grab a beer and sit on the couch and watch TV. I go home, I look at my wife and say, I love you. Whenever I get that call, he's not with us anymore. Whenever I get that call that we lost another one, we just lost 3 more Green Berets in Niger. Y'all remember that attack? They were in 3rd group where I was. You know what I did then? I took my kids to the movies. I took my wife out to dinner. I lived well. We had a great time because they can't. So stop being good and start being great, because that's why, you know why I named it that whenever I thought about what am I going to say? Every one of my friends told me they're good. When I told them why I stopped drinking, well, I'm good. Well, so was I. I was good when I drank. Became a Green Beret when I drank. Had my job. Paid my bills. Didn't beat my family. I was good. But now I am so fundamentally great. It is the best gift that I've ever been given in my life, and I challenge you to find that gift and give it to yourself. Amen. You're good. Second thing, be a part of something bigger than yourself. Let that sink in, everybody. Be a part of something bigger than you. I'm sick and tired of this selfie generation that we live in. Every one of you in here, when you take a selfie, think about being selfless. Think about that greatest generation. You think it was soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines that won World War II? No. How about Americans that spent $18 billion funding the war? What about Rosie the Riveter? Left their job to go build bombs and tanks and planes. People forget this really happened. Ford, Chevy, and Dodge, guess what happened? They stopped building cars. Stopped. Started building tanks and planes and had an entire industrial revolution so the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines could fight for us. Talk about being something bigger than themselves. Right now, if Trump came on TV and said, hey guys, the little rocket man's talking trash, I need to build some stuff, but I'm gonna need y'all's help, who's gonna buy bonds? We are so divided as a country that just because I just said the word Trump, some of y'all probably stopped listening to me. Right? Real talk. I've been in the Oval Office with President Obama. I've been on the stage with Trump. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm an American. I didn't lose my leg for a red or blue party. I lost my leg for Americans. And we should all remember that. Remember that this is the greatest country on this planet that has ever happened in its existence, and we should never apologize for that. We are the greatest. And you know why? You know why we're the greatest? Because of you, Americans, that left where they came from 200 years ago, that actually revolted against a king that said, we want to live with these ideals. That people from all colors, all creeds, all nations can live under one set of ideals and be American. Not African American, not Mexican American, not Asian American, American. Yes, that's what we are. We are the greatest good. We do more good. I know the news shows a lot of bad in this country, but let me tell you, I've been around this globe. There's no one that does more good than us. If you don't believe me, find a place. I got a $1,000 bill. You show me a place that does more than America does. I'm Mexican. Mom's Betty Jo Huerta. Grandma don't even speak English. When I got shot, what did Mexico do for me? Nothing. I love Mexico. Been to Mexico. I am proud of that heritage. Absolutely proud of that heritage. But I'm not Mexican. I'm American with Mexican descent, right? We need to come back to that part of being a part of something bigger than ourselves, being American, looking at that person to your left and right and saying, I love you. Why? Because you're American. Not because you listen to Beyonce and so do I. When you see that lady across the street getting either putting her garbage out or helping her across the street, help. Why? Because that's the right thing to do. You're Americans. We help people. So please, let's get back to that. I'm serious about the selfie thing. All right, so be a part of something bigger than yourself. The last thing that I'll leave you, and it's very quick, and it's very simple, and I mean it, be worth it. Be worth those 30 names that are on my center console of my truck that my arm rests on every single day that will never come back. Be worth the deployments that I've been on and I've had to say Merry Christmas on a TV screen. Be worth the birthdays that I've had to see miss. You know what it sucks? It sucks nothing more to see your kids open up a present and just wishing you can be there, knowing you're not going to be there for months. Be worth that. Be worth this leg that I have to tote around every single day. You think, my joke is I make one-legged look good. It's not. It sucks being one-legged. It is not fun. Every single step is an everyday reminder of that battlefield, April 6, 2008. Every step is hard. Every step is uncomfortable. But you know what? It's worth it because every single one of you here believes in the veterans. And that's what I want you to take away from this is be worth it. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that inspirational message. In order to show our thanks and gratitude for youth service members, I introduce to you a group of Wisconsin Lutheran students singing "Thank You, Soldiers."